Hey YouTube, this is David back again. Hey, I had said on uh, on one of the playthroughs, I guess it's the Jurassic Park one I'm doing, that I want to do film reviews on this channel too, the Carl Dabo One's multimedia channel. Carl Dabo One being me, obviously. Um, I didn't really want to get started with this movie, but I guess I will. It's as good as any other to get started with. Um, 300 Rise of an Empire. I saw this last Monday, and I was just hoping, basically, for something on par with the. I don't know how else to describe it. The emotional rush that I had from 300, at least in this one respect. Uh, the sacrifice that was made by uh, Leonidas and the 300 at Thermopylae. But I should have listened to myself, I guess. I should have thought it through, you might say, because they've already made that movie. That story's been told. And I guess maybe I don't know what I was really expecting. There is gore in this movie, for sure. Lots of blood, fighting, violence. It's an ancient history war movie, as it were. But it's also other things that are just not good at all, and that's the kind of thing I'll be talking about in this rambling review. And make no mistake about it, I'm going to probably call all these reviews that I do rambling reviews because I uh, I intend these to be not so much reviews in any professional way at all, since I'm obviously not a critic or professional of that sort. I really enjoy movies, and that's why I want to do this. It's just another little outlet, maybe make some friends on YouTube, read the comments. Hopefully somebody will watch these videos of mine. Hopefully some people will like them. And just, to interact a little bit like this, since I've had a YouTube account for a while, but I haven't been really active with it. So have started up uh, Carl Dabo One's multimedia channel to basically do these things, these and also the the playthroughs of a few of the games that I want to play, and that now that I have Fraps on my computer and I can actually record stuff. But yeah, this movie was, and one more thing, I intend for these rambling reviews, since I'm not even going to call them reviews, that seems to be giving them too much credit, an actual review. These will be rambling reviews, and I'm probably going to put spoilers in all of the titles of, who knows, I may realize, or I may think that, this is a mistake. Nobody's going to watch this. Who cares about my opinion? But really, this is just a chance for me to let loose about some things, and uh, I never really let loose and have anybody to talk about things that I would like to talk uh, about, as far as art and movies and, who knows, maybe music, but entertainment, whatnot. Basically, that's what the multimedia channel will be about. And as you can see, I'm rambling. That's going to be these rambling reviews. I haven't even gotten into the movie. I'm just saying, uh, since this is basically an introduction to the channel and the first of these movie reviews that I'm going to do, rambling reviews. I'm sorry, since review would be it's not really a review, and this is what I'm trying to get to. I'm probably going to put spoilers in all the titles because these little videos where I'm going to talk about movies, most likely that I've seen at the theater, since I'd like to do that. See a new movie at the theater, get back online as soon as I can, within a week or so, and just talk about the movie, especially if I saw it at the theater. Although I think there are some movies that I have or other things to talk about that are related to these things that um, I'll probably make videos of too as time goes on. But yeah, these rambling reviews are going to be meant basically for people who have already seen the movie, since as I ramble, I know I'm going to try and bring out things and maybe ask questions. If anybody who sees these videos can maybe answer, or maybe get some back and forth about things. These videos are going to be meant for people who have already seen the movie, and so I'm always going to say spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. I'm bound to say something that might, or several things that might just ruin the movie if you haven't seen it. But as for 300, the reason I went to see the movie was because, as much as the kind of person I am, I try and go for, especially, it seems like the older I get, the less I want to see things that are flashy or things that are overly violent. And you might ask, well, why in the world would you go and see this movie? Well, the thing is that even though I liked 300 at first, and then I didn't, I'm like, man, why did I watch this movie? Because it's just violence, 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 and action. And although I'm not against action movies, I mean, I watch action movies. It's just, it has to do with the film itself. As Rambo Rap for Life actually said on his channel, is it a good film? It could be about anything. But did it as a film, and not just 300 or 300 Rise of an Empire, any movie, anything on film, anything artistic, did it add something to you? Did you, reading this book or watching this movie or listening to this music or whatever, staring at this painting, does it put something in you that wasn't there before, or maybe wasn't as full as it was before in your mind? Did it help advance you in your core? Did it help you? Did it add to you in a beneficial way, in a way that you know was good? And really, maybe it's a bad omen, as they say, that I'm starting with 300, because I don't think this movie added much of anything. And I'm going to get into this. It may take me an hour to get through all this, and I'm going to ramble, I warn you. But yeah, 300 Rise of an Empire, I'm afraid I can't really say is a good film. I'm not saying I regret watching it, because I admit I was entertained by some of the stuff. I went there to see this over-the-top, very visual, it's a video, a movie, but you know what I mean by visual. The cinematography, the way Zack Snyder, all the colors is what I'm getting at, similar to the way they did with 300. I went to see this big epic thing that I thought was going to be this big epic movie, but unfortunately there are too many, in my opinion, there are just too many cons, not enough pros. And what I'm about to say relates a lot to the history. And although I enjoy history, I studied history a little bit. It's what I majored in college. I'm not even finished with my degree yet, but my bachelor's. But it's just the only thing I enjoyed enough at the time when I was trying to choose a college major, even though I haven't been going to college for money reasons. I have only a few classes left in my history degree, but just the only thing that I could see myself studying and actually getting into at the time, although I'm interested in all sorts of things, even medicine now. I took some courses to be a nurse, but anyway, this is rambling. What I meant was the ahistorical nature of this film, and how wrong, and I don't say wrong just to say wrong things that they did in this movie. Where to begin with that? Anyway, what I meant was that 300, I know it's over the top, flashy, maybe embellished, exaggerated in certain respects thing, but it was still this epic story about 300. And the thing is, all 300 of those soldiers, those Spartan soldiers, died. And that's, who goes to see a movie where you know all these people they're going to do this heroic deed and they're all going to die fighting? Who goes to see that kind of? Well, I guess I do, and apparently a whole lot of people went to see 300. But and I speak of the Battle of Thermopylae and Leonidas as far as film goes, only in terms of 300, since I haven't seen that. Apparently there's a uh, an older film about 300 and also a documentary. I haven't seen those. All I've ever seen so far is 300, and now 300 Rise of an Empire, which I'll go ahead and say this is, I guess this is going to be a rant. I'll try and bring out the things that I did like about the film. It's just the things that are wrong of such a nature that it just clouds out any good apart from a little bit of entertainment, and you enjoy the visuals in the film. For instance, one thing, they didn't make a big deal of this, but you actually see Xerxes uh, his pontoon bridges over the Hellespont, all those ships that were lined up across the water. They don't really say, "Look what I've done," even though you would think he would kind of do that, considering the way they depicted his character in 300. Like, "Look what I have done," like he would be boasting about it. But no, he's just there talking to somebody. Is it who was he talking to? Artemisia. I think it's Artemisia's character, who, and they totally. There there are things that are done in this film that I think they're so wrong that somebody needs to apologize. Seriously, say, hey, this is just, we're just telling a story in a almost cartoonish way. It has nothing to do with history, fact, truth in some cases. Anyway, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed seeing that in the movie, the pontoon bridge. Even though they don't really say it, you just see it in a couple of little snippets while Xerxes is talking to somebody. And what else? Other than that, it's the visuals in the movie are at least really good. Uh, please pardon me if I kind of stray, if my mind wanders in this, because I'm actually searching for some things to talk about. Um, I should have made my notes better. The only thing that I've made a note of so far, even though I've gone ahead and started the video, and this is the video that I will go with and upload eventually. I really wish that the man who plays uh, Dilios from the first film, 300, David Wenham, that he had been the narrator of the film. As it is, it's Lena Headey, Queen Gorgo, who was Gojo, who was Leonidas' wife, Queen of Sparta, as it were. And so, and nothing against her or even her narrating. It's just I enjoyed his so much, and his voice that he has, and the way that he narrated the first film. I wished that he had been doing it here too, and yet that's part of the thing that became annoying to me during the movie. It's like I heard a couple people ranting about like, what is this movie? Is this a prequel? It's a prequel. Forget it. We're tired of prequels. But this movie became annoying to me while I was watching it, because it's like it was a prequel and a during and then a right after too. And so it just kind of, I mean, and I guess there's a kind of an artistic way you can do that. It's just I became annoyed with it personally, because they have these little scenes of the 300 and what they're doing. There are numerous references, of course, during the film, talking about what Leonidas is doing and the 300, and going to Thermopylae to meet Xerxes and stop him at the pass, not letting him uh, get by. And of course, the character, uh, what is his name? Uh, uh, I can't really remember. I can't remember the character's name. The historical character, since is an actual person and everything. I'm sorry I can't find it right now, but anyway, the Hunchback, the deformed character, he's back in it again, and Themistocles, who is uh, the Athenian uh, side of the coin. There were the Spartans and the Athenians. He was this statesman and this leader of the navy and everything. And I want to say the guy who plays him, uh, Sullivan Stapleton as Themistocles. I enjoyed this guy's performance. I really did. I enjoyed his performance. I enjoyed Lena Headey's performance. Eva Green as Artemisia, it was so disturbing to me. I know she was in a movie that I know of. I haven't watched it all the way through. My mom, of all people, she likes this James Bond film. It was Casino Royale, the first one with Daniel. I can't remember his name right now, but the new James Bond guy. Uh, and I know my mom says, "Oh, it's sad she drowns at the end of that movie and everything." And he cared about her. I wish I had watched Casino Royale. I guess I need to watch Casino Royale now. If she had a good, if she had a, I'm forgetting her name already, Eva Green. If she had a good role in that, because I feel almost scarred by what she was in this movie, because it's just Artemisia was one of Xerxes, historically one of his naval commanders, and in this movie they just is I keep face palming because that's the way I feel. Her family, like her village was destroyed, her family killed. In the trailer, I'm like, oh, well, that little girl who's crying, it's going to be like, that's going to be some random village, and it's just a horror of it. There's some pillaging going on or something. No, in the movie, it's like that little girl that you see in the trailer, that is Artemisia as a young girl, and she's watching in tears as everything's on fire, and there's these Greek hoplites. They do this thing where she's going to be anti-Greek all her life, hardcore, because of this happening to her at a young age. You see everything on fire. She's crying. The Greek hoplite soldiers coming over, looking at her all vicious, and he kicks her in the face. They're raping her mother and stuff, and it's just horrible. And that's why she came to hate the Greeks. They portray her as a slave, and of course, sex slave. A lot of even when they don't show, like in the corner or something, rape, they imply it constantly. She's chained up in the boat a few years after that. Maybe she's a teenager by then, just looking all like just in utter misery. And some guy starting to like take his clothes off. And then cut to the next scene, and Lena Headey continues. I guess it was her at that point, narrating the history of it all, the anti-history, since they just, oh, I know it's just a movie. I know it's, people throw the word propaganda around a lot, and that's something I want to talk about now. 300, one of the courses that I have taken so far was ancient Greece, and our professor had to throw out this question when I took that class 3 or 4 years ago now. More like 4 years. I'm getting old. Uh, of who had the greater glory or honor? I think they used the word glory. Who had the greater glory? Was it Leonidas or Themistocles? And of course, you had to get into the conversation and say who you thought and why. And of course, so many people said Leonidas because he knew he was going to ultimately perish, being outnumbered and just overwhelmed, but that he and his men did it anyway. But some of us, I don't think I did, but some of us tried to make the argument for Themistocles that he actually he would be the one to go under to win the war on the water and everything, and yeah. Why did I mention that? Oh, the propaganda thing. Another question that was thrown out in that course that I took, just to I think it was even an optional question, like, because in these a lot of these online courses like I took, um, you get your course credit from participating in discussions. That's part of the coursework in the online class. But I think this was actually an optional one, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe not. Answering the question, do you think 300 is propaganda? And at the time, I think I kind of beat around the bush saying, because I've always had this idea, well, doesn't something need to be produced that is made to be propaganda? Like, we're going to produce a movie or some imagery or some posters or a radio program or a book or whatever. That's we've got to sway people to think this way, and unfortunately sometimes to think this way about someone else, to get people uh, thinking a certain way. And at the time, I think I beat around the bush saying something like, I don't think it's propaganda. It is this and it is that. I don't think it's meant to be propaganda, although people can see and interpret that, hey, that's always going to be that way, as far as if someone's offended by something. But at the time, I think I was trying to answer the question from the standpoint of, is it meant to be propaganda? And I think I ended up just saying I don't think so. But this movie, 300: Rise of an Empire, there's just something about it where there's just something about it. I mean, you there are aspects of racism in as much as the distinctions between the Persians and the Greeks, but some of the battle scenes, and granted they do at intricate little points in battles in this movie actually show Greeks being run through and cut down and all this stuff. But there are also some other scenes, specifically when Greeks are fighting Persians, where, like, there's this one scene, one of Artemis's, and again they portray her in a way that I think is just, well, you get what I think about it. Um, he volunteered to be the one to lead the charge, as it were, even though I don't know what the term would be on the water for leading the charge. He didn't deliver the Greeks into her hand that day the way he made he would and hoped he would, I'm sure. And he says, you're right to be disappointed and all this stuff. She kills him, has him executed, looks like cement on the screen. It looked kind of like a cement bracelet, but I'm sure it was just some stone thing. Collapsed and threw him off this boat and sunk him, killed him. And then she's like, who's going to volunteer next? And some guy does. And they're out on the water. He gets Themistocles. They do this thing where they use the mist to draw some of the Persian fleet into this little area, a few boats of Persian soldiers, and they ended up having them run aground across this little bridge and swarming the boat and killing all the Persians. Some Greeks fall in that little encounter, but there's this scene, and I'm like, man, oh! And at the same time, like an eye roll, like, no way, like, what is this? The Greeks, what Greeks are left, they've killed all the Persians, a few bodyguards surrounding that one Persian commander who had volunteered to try again for Artemisia to get the Greeks. Themistocles just comes right after him, just walks right up to him. The Persian like strikes at, and I mean, it's like he like moves his arm, and Themistocles is like lightning or something. Like they're really trying to portray these people as like Greek gods or something. Like it's a real thing. He just and the guy was. It's like a cartoon how this happens. He goes like this for Themistocles, and Themistocles, and the arm cuts right off. I think the guy moves his, like, maybe tries to kick Themistocles or something, just like that, and happens so fast, and just like that, Themistocles' arm off of the Persian commander. Let me try and find the actor's name. if I can recognize faces here, because I didn't catch names um, the way I should have. Um, anyway, it's a little bit nuts, and when I say exaggerated, that's what I meant, exaggerated. The way, because this man's a fighting man too, you know, this Persian warrior or naval officer, I'm not sure what I would call it. Uh, People are probably saying, well, you took a history course, why do you study history, why don't you know this? And it's just a constant failing of mine. I'm never geared toward military history. That's just me. In any of the things that I study, it's usually other things, but I mean, I know that's no excuse. But it just seemed, I was kind of a, this man is a warrior too. Uh, Not even one defensive.
Like posture. He couldn't defend one blow from Themistocles. He barely moved his arms, and arm and leg are gone. Blood pouring out. I'm like,
This is, anyway, let me move on. I'll just go ahead and talk about this next thing now. And this is one of the things that I walked out of the theater and I'm driving home thinking, they crossed the line with some of this junk. Uh, Correct me if I'm wrong. Perhaps I am incorrect. Perhaps there's some scholar, or maybe it's just someone who knows a little bit about these things. But I have a question. Was there really some disturbing, and it disturbed me, a lot of people, like you look at some trailer or some, if there's a little clip of the movie, some idiot saying, oh, I was so turned on when she got, but during that scene, and people talking about Eva Green's breasts or something, and this is the thing, somebody please tell me, was there really a disturbing, because I was disturbed, a disturbing, violent sexual encounter between Themistocles and Artemisia? And this is why I keep going back to 300, because I know all the visuals and the embellishment and the tonight we died in hell and all this stuff, how over the top it was, and how that movie is geared toward to elevate the Greek uh, the Greeks in that little bit of history at Thermopylae over the Persians, and how it was for like it was such a historic thing. Even some people even say, well, if the Persians had taken over, hadn't been successful, there would have been no Western civilization. And arguments can be made for all that. And the thing is, those 300, knowing that they were going to die, that's why I give that movie such a break, because it was just one of those things that got to me, and I do like the artistic visuals of it and everything, even though uh, that sex scene in 300 Rise of an Empire, just, I was like, what am I watching? What in the world am I watching? What is this? Finally, it ended. Took a little while, and that leads into another thing that just took me completely out of the movie. And the ending scene, uh, when Themistocles and Artemisia are on the boat. Some people think this is a quote-worthy thing now, apparently, when you look at some of these comments, but on other videos, not mine, since I don't know if there's anybody's even going to comment or watch this video, when she's fighting, doing combat with Themistocles uh, on the boat, and she realizes, you know, he is great warrior, the swordsman, that just like she's this well-trained super soldier too. You fight better than you, and I don't use that word, but I'm like, it's an F word, obviously. I'm like, you fight better. I almost regretted watching the movie right then. And if I keep on like this, I'm going to just go ahead and say, I regret even watching this movie. Uh, Even though I did enjoy the visuals and that music. Dun, 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 dun. It's this. It's part of the score, and unfortunately, it's part of this song too, which again took me out of the movie and made me almost say out loud in the theater, I think I hate this movie. The way it ends, on the water. The Themistocles had gone to Gorgo, if I'm pronouncing her word, Lena Headey, if I'm pronouncing the Persian queen's uh, name correctly, then a widow, because like I said, you see little clips of Leonidas in the 300, like rumored, like someone says to someone else, yes, Leonidas in the 300, they're almost to the pass and all this stuff. Little clips like that. Themistocles had gone to her asking, this is our chance for a united Greece, and he's all about a united Greece. He's all about it's for the greater good and all this stuff. But and I'm more inclined to agree with her for the in general when she says when Lena Headey says I'm interested in protecting Sparta and the dream of a united Greece. That's your dream, not mine, and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, I understand is what I'm saying. She doesn't give him the fleet that he's asking for to help the Athenians deal with the Persians, a heavy blow right then. But it's like she comes back later after he comes to her again, and by that time word has reached them like Leonidas and the 300, they've all perished, and all this, and they were betrayed. And Themistocles actually has they bring actually he's like a messenger at that point. The hunchback guy who betrayed him is an actual historic character, and I ought to find the name right now instead of just calling him the hunchback, because that's not just calling him the hunchback. That's not up to snuff. I know. And Themistocles is saying, I should kill you for what you've done, execute you. Let me try and find him and say his name. Might not be able to find it. I want to say the actor's name. I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to find it. Anyway, he's been made to be a messenger now between Xerxes and Themistocles. And I really am rambling now because I'm trying to get back to the point that I made. At the end, Themistocles has brought the sword of Leonidas to Lena Headey, saying this belongs to you, and that really it kind of tugs on your heart, that scene, and it was a good scene. They might have been trying to burn his body. They didn't have Leonidas's body in the movie. I'm not sure what the actual history of that is. Then again, this is a movie that will make you, if you care about accuracy and truth, fact, these kinds of things, you'll want to go and, like I want to go and bone up on that part of history again, because I know from other sources that it's just, some of the things that they do in this movie, it's just not right. And then she has a change of heart. She's going to give him the boat. You don't see that. Lena Headey has been narrating the whole movie. Like, it began with a whisper. The only way they were going to
win was with ships. Stop wind ships and a tidal wave of heroes' blood. And it just all looks so good. And you realize, well, she's on the boat. She's talking to the Spartan warriors, and you know, the same way Leonidas would. And so they're on their way. This ending scene, and that's what I was talking about when they have, I say they have, the people who made the movie, oh, have her saying, not Lena Headey, Artemisia, you fight better than you. I'm like, oh man. Need to go home and burn some trash and pretend it's this movie. Anyway, the way the movie ends, Themistocles is like, it's almost like he has feelings for her because of their earlier encounter. Ugh. Like he doesn't want to kill her, but he does because she's going to kill him. And she just kind of looks over. She sees the ships coming, the Spartan ships, and Lena Headey like it's over. They're going to be able to rout the Persians and all with good enough numbers to win the day and all. And they kind of give an exchange of looks when Lena Headey comes onto the boat where Themistocles is, and they got these stern looks. Not a word is said, but there's like this understanding, like we're all Greeks, and now we're really gonna do this thing. And there's, I think his name Delios. I'll just say Delios, from the actor David Denham, who I wish had been narrating this thing, but Lena Headey was all right, and I understand that her character as Leonidas's wife. Did I say David Denham? I meant David Wenham. Faramir from Lord of the Rings, probably my favorite role with him in it so far. He's there too, eye patch and all. And again, not a word is said. They just kind of exchange this quick little glance at each other. And there's some Persians like jumping over the boat, gonna attack them, and they all just start fighting together. And the thing ends with Themistocles. Ah! Imagine the close up on my face, like ah, just like that. And then it cuts to generals gathered in their masses, just like witches on Black Sabbath. This horrible, just horrible music to transition to. I mean, you might like the song. I guess I can even get into the song under certain circumstances, but I mean, when that music started to play right then, and I realized, whoa, this is the end? Not even a little speech like David Wenham was able to do as Delios after the end of 300. I'm like, that's how you ended this movie? Anyway. It is a rant. I admit it. This thing turned into a rant. Things that were changed in the movie, I say changed in the movie, changed from the way they did 300. And again, I guess I didn't give Zack Snyder enough credit for the way that movie was done. But then again, if he had done that, if he had done this movie in the same kind, in the script and the things they did that were, I mean, exaggerations are one thing, but giant elephants falling off a cliff, this stuff, you know. But the things they did in this movie, it's like, it wasn't just exaggerations. There was some really tasteless stuff, if you ask me, and just Xerxes. What is his name again? I really should just study this first. Rodrigo Santoro as Xerxes again. And the only other thing I've seen him in is in The Stand.
and again, I need to say this, I really liked all these actors and actresses that mean that what they were told to do in the movie and their lines that they had and everything. It's just I need to go see them and other things to get the taste out of my mouth from what they had to do in this movie. Hopefully they didn't have too much say over. I mean, if they wanted to do some of the stuff, it's just I can't get over that violent, disturbing scene in Artemisia's ship between her and Themistocles. I was like, seems criminal to me to to do history that way. Anyway, some things that were changed. I want to say this, and I know I've rambled on for a long time, and I guess I've said everything that I can say. Something that really bothered me was the way they had Themistocles in the beginning introduce the camera. I was like, oh man, it's like Leonidas, and of course they're making him out to be just like that too, and it's like he's a ninja or a Jedi or something. The way they have these fight scenes, it's like it's too much. It's over the top. Of course, there's violence and fighting, but the CGI blood in this, it's like, it seemed like there was more than even in 300. At one point, I think I saw somebody's fighting, loses his hand right here, and it's slow motion, so you can actually see blood come out and go out, like outward everywhere, like a fountain, like three or four heartbeats or something, like comes off and boom, boom, and the blood is like, this isn't necessary. We can go. We don't. Somebody's probably saying, well, that's the style of these movies, man, and you're right. You're right. If I wasn't on board for that much of the junk, then I shouldn't have saw it at the theater and stuff. But there were some things that I liked about 300, and yes, I'm going to compare it again to 300 because, well, I just am. I thought, well, back to Themistocles. The way they have him shooting Darius the First with an arrow, that whole thing seems. It seems like that would be the kind of embellished story that somebody would just make up on the cusp. They have Xerxes there as Darius the First's son. He has hair. He looks like a regular guy, like I guess a Persian sailor would look like, who's manning the boat or whatever, and has him fall into his arms. And Themistocles, of course, Lena Headey has to say it because that's her lines. Themistocles knew then he would regret what he had done in trying to take out Darius the First with an arrow, which again, that's another historical thing. It's like in reality he wasn't even there, and that he lived for like 4 more years after that, but they kill him there, and or shoot him with an arrow that stays with him as he travels thousands of miles back to his home from where they were fighting there at what is the battle at the beginning. And let me try and see it here. Marathon? I think it's a marathon. And just things like that. I could buy it from the actor who was playing Themistocles. I could really buy him as like a Leonidas type character, just the Athenian side. I'm like, wow, I can buy it. I can buy it. That's the way I'll say it. Hey, he's got me. I'm buying it. Oh yeah. But what they did to Xerxes, I mean, Artemisia, all the thing about her brutal childhood, the rape at the hands of Greeks, the torture at Greeks, then being found by the guy who was the messenger in 300, And I know he plays another
things. Let me try and find his name. Um,
I'm not going to give up this time. I will actually find his name. He's the one who uh, it's like he finds her, and in a way, I saw it as kind of a beautiful thing amidst uh, all of the bad, and yet they end up playing it off as just one more thing that is just Peter Mensa. Peter Mensa. Peter Mensa. It seems like he always gets these roles. I think he was in Hidalgo and other things. He always seems to have that same kind of character. He's the one who's the messenger. Leonidas kicks down the.
I know Michael King in his reviews, he'll end by saying,
It's amazing. A low $20 a month, interest free.
Get out of here, ad. Hey, can I give it a watch or can I not give it a watch? For those of you who haven't seen the movie and weren't completely spoiled by all my negativity, rightly so, I think. I don't think I'm being negative. I think I'm just telling the truth and being honest about things, at least the way I feel about it. Might be chalked up to just personal opinion by a lot of people, but yeah, I couldn't give it a watch. I couldn't tell other people to watch this. No, sir. Um, and there was one more thing I wanted to mention. Xerxes. I actually bought that performance, and that even though they had him as a giant, again, exaggeration, a little bit of embellishment historically and stuff for what they were trying to do with the movie. What they do with him, the whole prequel thing, how I don't know if it was Eva Green or Lena Headey who was narrating this part of the movie, how Artemisia, and again, this is the stuff that it's like, I really wish they hadn't done this. Yeah, the way they did, historically, it's just.
And let me finish. The whole God King thing that they were trying to pull in 300, I actually bought that. How he thinks he's a god, and so he acts accordingly. He's willing to get as many people killed to reach his ends, and and not to say that God is that way, because he's not, but that men who think they are God, being men, get it? Human beings who think they are God, he's a maniac. And so he was willing to just crush people, and he wants to invade and vengeance, and it will all be mine and all this stuff. I actually bought that in the first movie, but the whole thing of telling a backstory in 300 Rise of an Empire where he went out and was confused or whatever under a spell for a while, and then he went to a cave of some hermits. He went down into the water, and when he rose up, he was a giant bald man with jewelry all over his face. And I'm like, he kind of ruined that for me. I actually bought the way they did it, the way they tried to portray the way he was, in the character that they were trying to bring out in 300. But yeah, that's all. Memorable performance, I think, and this is one of the. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and say that this what I'm about to talk about next, and I'll end on this, might be the really good thing about the movie. A relationship between a father and his son uh, who are Athenians, uh, like Themistocles, and who are in the Athenian Navy, working right under Themistocles. I'm gonna try and find some names and mention this, and I'll who knows? Maybe this can be me going out on a positive note on this movie. Is this him? Schilius? Kylan Mulvey. I liked this performance by him and his son in the movie. Is it Callisto? Jack O'Neill? I believe that's him. I'm going to go ahead and say that this was the good thing about the movie. Of course, he dies. The father dies in battle. And I was thinking, when did I all of a sudden think about this whole thing? They have this imagery in the movie of shooting somebody. At one point, you see somebody in the movie, Themistocles in the beginning, shooting somebody who's on a boat, like that. And then later on, you see Artemisia shooting an arrow like that from a boat to another boat. And this time, it's killing someone's father in both instances. Arrow goes in, maybe 2 or 3 as a matter of fact, and there's Callisto, and he has to watch his father die. And this was one of those coming of age things, and I'm going to end on this. Maybe this can be a positive note. A coming of age thing, like his father didn't think he was ready. You don't need to go for war and all this stuff, and you're not ready for this and that. But he wanted to fight. His son wanted to fight. Themistocles actually allowed him. He didn't get him in without his father knowing, but the kid just kind of showed up. He snuck in himself, and then Themistocles says, well, you'll be close to me when this happens, and you'll fight. And so when he dies, and there's a death scene, and again, I don't know why of all times this came to me, where I was thinking, again, I almost wish I had had to go through with reading subtitles, but just like, they all speak very good English. to be Greeks and Persians, they all speak very good English. And I don't know why all of a sudden that went during that one scene, and afterward thinking about it was why I thought of that. But anyway, there's a death scene where he says, you're going to get better, Father. And he says, no. You're going to have to fight on without me. And he whispers something to Themistocles as he's dying, and his son, who's still standing there, like grieving for him, Callisto asks, what did he say? And he says, and Themistocles says, I'll tell you one day. And at the end of the movie, he tells him that you've earned your right to sit at the table, because it was a thing earlier on in the movie where he had said, I have not earned the right to sit at the table, and so he goes and sits off in the corner, even though they're not actually sitting at a table in that scene. I don't think. Maybe a couple guys are, but his father, again, it's Schilius, Colin Mulvey, really bad character. And when I say bad in a good way, he was a spy right there under Artemisia's nose on this one ship. He says, I've never seen you before. He said, let me introduce myself to you, Highness. And like he stabbed one guy and bolts off of the thing. I was like, wow, I like this guy. But yeah, so I guess I'll consider that ending on a good note for the movie, even though overall, and it's just because of my own disposition and how I prioritize things. There's a difference between exaggeration, embellishment, and complete inaccurate, even inaccuracy, and having people doing things that they not only did or didn't do in some cases, and just totally tasteless we're only going to put this in the movie just to get people really into it or stirred up for whatever. I don't even know what to say about one scene in particular in this movie, that even though there's so much more. But yeah, I'll still consider it ending it on a good note. But yeah, that's 300 Rise of an Empire. Anyway, until next time, thank you for watching my horribly rambling review of 300. And take care, everybody. Hey, back again. Just a little addendum to what I was talking about with 300 Rise of an Empire. There were some things that I want to make clear about what I said in the video. I've just watched all of the video that I have recorded up to this point, and it looks like I have some audio issues. You might have noticed if you watched the video. I'm not sure what the problem is. If this is a new camera, web camera, this monitor didn't have one or anything, and so I went and got one from Walmart, just a new camera, Logitech. I'm not sure if I need to adjust something or what. Hopefully I get that worked out, or else I'll just try to work around it by just filming smaller clips, maybe 10 to 15 minutes, and just do several if I have to, and clip them all together, because it looks like my voice goes really low all of a sudden. It sounded funny when I listened to it, but people might be like, what in the world does he... It's not on purpose, it's not deliberate, it's a problem, but hopefully I'll work around that. I just wanted to make clear something I said. I accidentally called Lena Headey's character, the Queen, I don't know if it's Gorgo or Gorgo, again, the way I pronounce it. Seems like when I was going to school years ago, and I mean when I was a little kid, I saw pronunciation keys everywhere. Lately, it's like that's a thing of the past, even in books. But anyway, I accidentally called her a Persian king when I meant to say Spartan. I don't know how I got my words mixed up. But about the narrating, I meant to say this before. It does make more sense that her character is narrating the movie, because especially being a widow at that point, she's having to take charge. She's the queen without her king now, Leonidas having died, and so it's up to her to lead those troops into this battle, and it makes sense, especially in terms of the setting when she's on the boat, the wind on the water, the whisper, and tidal wave of heroes' blood will be required, and all this, and just this pep talk, basically getting these soldiers geared up to fight. That makes a lot of sense. I only mentioned David Denham because I really enjoyed his narrating. Then again, he could probably narrate anything, and I would enjoy it, just because I liked his voice and the style of the way he did that in 300. It was part of it for me. I mean, if they did that one and Lena Headey's voice, I would have been fine with. But it's just, I only mentioned that about David Denham, Wyndham. Why do I keep saying Denham? Wyndham, just because I liked his voice and his narration so well. But it does make the most sense, at least in terms of who Lena Headey is talking to, her character on the boats going toward the battle, which again, that part of it being a prequel, and in between and an after, I didn't mind so much, but the whole thing of the clips of Leonidas and 300, especially in annoying parts of the movie when I'm like, okay, there's another clip of them marching, they're on the march. There's the powerful story right there. I've already seen that movie, and this movie also could have been very powerful. The way, then again, maybe it got to you, maybe you love the movie, and that's okay. It's just me, it didn't, get me the way 300 did, and I think it's just because of the style of things and the way that it was done. I mentioned Zack Snyder and how I meant to say that even if he had done this with his visuals, because the visuals, there was a lot of visual stuff in this, maybe not exactly like he did them, but with the script, if the script had been the same, it wouldn't have mattered. It would have been this same movie with some very offensive junk in it that I just did not care for at all, and so that wouldn't matter. I only mentioned Zack Snyder because I know that 300 was very popular and famous, and one of the reasons people went to see it was this new looking movie, this like unique, those unique visuals. Anyway, I want to say again that the thing about Xerxes, how I don't know if I made myself clear before. That's one area where the prequel thing, it messed it up for me from what I had in my mind before. Granted, I still have 300, the movie, but 300 Rise of an Empire, the whole thing with the backstory. So I liked it when it's the same kind of thing as the space jockey and Prometheus and having to explain every little thing. This is one area where I wish they just skipped that, because seeing him as a regular man when all he had been up to that point was the God King thing, this giant who he has all these servants and slaves carrying him on this massive golden whatnot, and he is the leader of all these countless warriors with their scary looking masks, and it's also intimidating and everything. It seemed more intimidating, but having him as a regular sailor and again an anti-historical bit of the movie with his father on the boat and stuff, it's just and just the way they did so many of the things like that. But yeah, seems like there was something else I wanted to say, but again, I'm going to be adding this after what I already videoed, and hopefully the audio won't be so bad that YouTube kicks it back. It'll be the first video of any length that I've ever uploaded, and this is my first of these little rambling reviews that I want to do for the movie part of my channel. So anyway, is there anything else? Is there anything else? I want this to conclude. I want this to be conclusive. The conclusion to my 300 Rise of an Empire rambling review. And something else that definitely deserves some mention is again, I don't want to compare it directly to 300 in this respect, but the Leonidas ending, the speech before leading the men into victory scene that Themistocles gives. I mean, you understand it on a I don't know how else to say it, on an intellectual level. You know what he's trying to do, you know what he has to do. He has some of his men thinking, you brought this upon us through your gambling and your maneuvering, and it's you who've ultimately put us in these straits and trying to win against the Persians, and your maneuverings and stuff. It's you, like it's his fault, and he admits like he's a flawed man, and some of it's on him, but it's like, this is it. This is our opportunity. We're going to either fight and how does it go? It seems like it's been said word for word in another movie already, but let the world know that we chose to die on our feet, then live on our knees, that speech. And there's the idea of democracy, of the democratic, the idea of democracy coming into being as an experiment, a social experiment in civilization and so forth. And I don't know how else to say it. But it's like that has to be done a certain way. Democracy itself, after all, is something that has to be done a certain way for it to work. People having a choice and so forth. If people go nuts in their ways, as it were, democracy doesn't work. And kind of like with this movie, if so many things are just done not quite right, then it just doesn't work. I mean, again, I really like the actor who played Themistocles, his character, uh, his acting. The character in the movie is what I think goes too far to the edge of, okay, you seem to be a man of reason and so forth, and yet this otherworldly experience you think you're having when you watch the violent encounter that I talk about between he and Artemisia, it's like it's another person, and that's what it seems like to me. And you have the good little thing of bringing out a little bit of the differences in culture between the Athenians and the Spartans. And every time he goes to Sparta, both times somebody greets him, say, "You can speak to the queen. Don't expect a warm welcome, though, Athenian." That kind of thing. Because it's like the word differences between them. And while they do try to touch on that, even though historically there were even like some violent clashes between the Athenians and the Persians, even though they were Greeks. And I know the whole thing in the end is the unity. Like, we're all Greeks now, and we've got to protect Greece against the invading enemy. So just wanted to touch on that. That I like that, but that it just seems like it's things of such a delicate nature just have to be done right, is all I can say. And somebody's probably saying, well, do you think you could do better? I'm going to go ahead and say, I'm going to go ahead and throw my hat in the ring and say, with the right help. Maybe, yeah, because again, ultimately it goes back to what I was saying before about how some things just strike certain people as being more powerful than other things. And granted, this movie, had it been done a certain way, it could have been as powerful to me, and the way I keep saying powerful, or more so than 300 was, depending on how it's done, you know. Because Themistocles talks about the sacrifice of the 300, and the brave Spartans, the noble Spartans, will unite us. It's their sacrifice. Their sacrifice will mean that we can, okay, great. It's just that the more powerfully told story's already been done, and every time I see these clips of that they have in the movie of Gerard Butler, images of him, marching with the 300, I'm like, I wish I was watching that movie, because the way it was told, I don't know how to explain it. It's just there was more focus on that, is what it was. 300, as opposed to like 300 Rise of an Empire. Different backstories are being brought in, and you get a little bit of this and a little bit of that. They have Artemisia's history being told in such a way as I can't even talk about it. I won't even talk about it. I'll just say it's not right. And the familiar faces of Xerxes, but new things that kind of go against the image you already have in your mind, but I'll get into that too. Again, rambling horribly. Hey, just one more little addendum. I think that what I'm going to try and do is use my headset in future recordings. Maybe that'll make the difference with this audio, since I've been working with this video since the last time I thanked you for watching. So there might be 2 or 3 or 4 thank you for watching this first video, just in this one review of 300 Rise of an Empire. But hopefully this will be the last thank you. Thanks again for watching.
Hello. Hey YouTube.
YouTube, this is David, back again with a little follow-up to my review on 300, Rise of an Empire. I'm only doing this little follow-up. I won't do this on every video that I do, just a couple that I realized that there were more thoughts and things I wanted to talk about and make sure I made mention of on these particular movies. Mostly on RoboCop, because that's one movie where I'd like to do this thing where if I do a review and it's a sequel, I want to go back and not necessarily do reviews on each film so much as just talk about all those things in one video. I didn't do that obviously with RoboCop, but for instance here on 300, Rise of an Empire, and another one I'll do a follow-up to is on RoboCop, and then I'll put up all these videos that I have done so far. But I'll try and make this short. 300 Rise of an Empire, the more I think about it, is one of those films where I feel like I've really been put off from these sorts of movies, because over the top is one thing, a point that I tried to make in my review, but it's the inaccuracy stuff that really made me feel like people have really gone wrong to make movies like this. And of course there's the violence stuff and the brutality. They have gone over the top with that to the point where it's just not necessary. And I know some people actually like the gruesome stuff. I mean, the thing is, I don't really like that, and yet I went to see the movie anyway, hoping for that little spark, that I saw in 300. But I just don't feel like I saw it. And it's not to say that the actual history of Themistocles and the Athenians, and actually those other Greeks besides the Spartans and the Athenians that were united for a time there against the Persian forces, that you can't tell. It's not that you can't tell a really powerful story about that the way that they did about 300 and Leonidas and his 300 in that film. It's just that they didn't, and that's what really bothered me, is what I'm trying to say. Is that I see stuff online where it said people are saying that it's taken a few weeks, but that I don't know what they're talking about in terms of money made or how popular it is or what. I really don't care, to be honest. But that 300 Rise of an Empire has surpassed, quote unquote, 300, and I just don't see that. One thing that I wish I had talked about in the review, but my mind was just so clouded and blocked out from talking about actual good details, was the fighting itself, and not the brutality in the fighting. No, the maritime stuff, the naval battles, how it's on the sea, a little bit of it on shore in certain places, on a little bridge in one part of the movie, but that little bit of history that they were able to bring forth, even though I think that Troy with Brad Pitt, that movie probably did. Granted, that's a slightly different area of history, yeah, but that they actually did that better. But as far as the imagery and stuff, that dark, really it is kind of a dark, I've got to admit, a dark imagery, even though it's meant to be this epic, beautiful, colorful thing. And really, there are scenes when you can see it shining through and stuff. You know what I'm talking about. But I wish I had made more mention of that in my actual review. As it is now, I'm trying to get the hang of editing my little videos just with Windows Movie Maker and my, I guess, malfunctioning Logitech web camera. And so that video is already so chopped up, and I've added addendums and stuff, and it's so annoying to me the way I had to do that in the end that I'm actually tired of talking about 300 Rise of an Empire. So I thought I would just not video myself and just add these few little thoughts in here to say that's something I wish I had talked about more, and something that is good about the movie. There, I finally said it. the fighting on the water. Even though toward the end in that battle, it's more embellished, whatnot. Somehow his horse can swim very well underwater, Themistocles' horse, and he leaps onto the fiery ship and stuff. That's kind of crazy. But as far as the actual tactics and one ship trying to break another right in the middle and stuff like that, the Persian ships and how they took them and how they would try to outflank them, and the fact that they're just men on boats that are floating across the water to fight hand to hand once they get to each other on the water. That was some interesting. That was good. I mean, even if they go overboard in the fighting itself and the way that they do it in the movies now, but just that little bit of imagery of them being on the boats, those wind ships. That was really something. I'm trying to finally get this all out of my system so that I don't miss anything. The whole point I'm doing this is that I always think of things after the fact that I wish I had said, and so that's why I'm doing this this video. Again, I liked all those actors and actresses that were in 300 Rise of an Empire. I just wish that the movie itself, as far as the dialogue and stuff, that I wish they had put more emphasis on that, you know. The Persian let me just say this: the horrible sex scene. I wish that was out of the movie altogether. That it's not necessary, it's not needed, it's not good, it's not proper. I wish it's what really tainted the movie for me. It's like, this isn't just ahistorical. This is just a bunch of junk. What is this? Why did they put this in this movie? Why did they try and tell this way? But yeah, and another thing is that it almost seems like, I don't want to call it a Spaceballs 2, the search for more money type movie, but it's just, or a cash grab. I don't want to call it that because I felt like I did get enough out of it so that it's not like that. It's just, it seems like they did leech off of Leonidas and the 300 from the first film, that story, this really powerful story, too many references to that, and not enough about the importance of actually building these other characters. At least that's the way I felt about it. I mean, at least that's the way I thought about it, because it's like, I've already seen that story told very well, even if it's in the over-the-top cinematic whatnot, the story of those 300 Spartans who made the ultimate sacrifice, as it were. Now it's time to look to the Athenians and Themistocles. And while you're doing that, you end up with this horrible, violent, sexual encounter in a boat with I gotta get away from that. It's just, that's what's tainted the movie, really, most of all, for me. And just a whole lot of little things that ultimately have, I don't hesitate to say, it's probably put me off from watching any more movies like this. I mean, unless there's some director or somebody who or maybe the rating or something like that, who I know they're just going to stick to the point. They're going to get to the point, tell a good story, and not go nuts the way 300 Rise of an Empire had a tendency to get a little bit nuts here and there. Anyway, this has just been a quick little addendum, and I look forward to doing one on RoboCop right after this, and having all three of these videos or films that I have totally done up so far, 300 Rise of an Empire, Lone Survivor, and RoboCop, finally posted on the channel. So thank you for watching. Hopefully somebody's watching these videos and having at least a little bit of the fun that I'm having doing them. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.